You wake up, your body works fine, your room is where you left it, your phone works, your house stands, your car runs. Everything feels structured. From this limited window, we assume stability. But what if the sense of stability isn't stable at all? The human mind experiences the world as stable because it samples reality in narrow time slices. Stability feels real not because things are unchanging, but because change is too slow to notice. Materials expand and contract, they accumulate microscopic damage, chemical bonds weaken, energy is constantly being exchanged. What we call structure is just a temporarily sustained arrangement. Everything around us, from our phones to our homes, feel stable and ordered, but they are in a constant state of decay. Our phones don't suddenly stop working, they heat up and components wear down. We don't suddenly die, we slowly lose our ability to maintain order, to maintain health. Over time, our phones degrade, our cars rust, the foundation of our homes weaken, our bodies decline. We don't wake up one day and realize that, oh, I have become older. It happens over years, but we don't see these processes. And because we don't see them, we assume that they aren't happening at this moment. We actually depend on this assumption of stability because without it, we can't predict, and the sense of control we have feels lost. So the brain simplifies reality. We don't perceive the world as it is. We perceive the world as stable enough to act within. And behind all this, there's a universal rule: things don't stay organized. Physics calls this entropy. Stability isn't the absence of disorder, it's disorder happening so slow that we don't notice. Stability is disorder in slow motion. In any system, the amount of disorder increases over time unless effort or energy is put to maintain order. An ice cream is perfectly ordered in the refrigerator because energy is being invested to maintain order, maintain low temperatures. But as soon as you bring the ice cream in the room temperature, it begins to melt. Leave anything without constant energy input, and it drifts towards more disorder, more entropy. But why? Disorder is more probable than order because there are very few configurations that can produce order. An ordered system is highly specific. Our cars require precise calibration. Our bodies require coordinated processes. Our phones run only if components are aligned. But disorder, pour vegetable oil, soup, water, coke, or anything you wish in your car and it will stop. Only if you fill up your car with petrol, it will function. There are countless ways for something to break, scatter, misalign, and degrade. Stability can exist only while energy is being invested to maintain order. So, we can resist disorder by investing energy. So, stability is possible. Actually, that's far from truth. If we zoom out from our personal lives, we observe that to create order, we create more disorder elsewhere. To manufacture or build a phone, building, car, or anything, we need raw materials. And from where do we acquire those raw materials? We extract, we mine. The level is extraction. Metals are concentrated at the Earth's crust. When we extract them, we disrupt that order. And even after extraction, we don't use it raw. We refine them, we make it usable, and refinement requires what? It requires energy. We use electricity or fuel, which emits heat, carbon, smoke, and other byproducts into the environment. We move resources from concentrated form to more disposed form. The layer 2 is manufacturing. Now we take those raw materials and build something precise: a car, a home, a building, a machine. But to build those, we again use energy, which again emits heat, carbon, and other byproducts into the environment. And that's not the end. Layer 3 is the usage. We don't just buy a car or build a home. We use it. We refuel our cars. We maintain our homes. We use our phones. This usage requires energy, which again emits the same thing in the environment. And even if we maintain everything perfectly, everything has a limited lifespan. And these processes keep stacking entropy. or disorder. Extraction creates entropy, manufacturing adds more, usage adds more. So it's not just entropy, it's entropy on top of entropy on top of entropy. It's compounding entropy. And if we zoom out far enough, this pattern actually repeats. Stars exist because of concentrated energy. Planets exist because of concentrated matter. Galaxies exist because gravity holds structure together. And they're in a state of entropy too. Every system we have discovered, from mechanical to biological, depends on imbalance. Temperature differences allow energy flow, or electricity flows from high voltage to low voltage, and our body is actively trying to maintain differences. But if anything is moving towards more disorder, these differences eventually balance out, and eventually a state called equilibrium is achieved, a state where there is no usable energy left, no structural lift, and there is maximum disorder. Systems don't run on stability, they run on imbalance. Order exists because differences exist, but entropy isn't just limited to external things, it's happening within you. Your mind doesn't stay focused by default, it drifts from one thought to another. Focus requires effort. Distraction happens automatically. And when you focus, you're doing something very specific. You are concentrating your attention to create order. And the moment that effort drops, you get distracted. Your habits don't sustain themselves. You don't stay disciplined by default. You don't maintain routines effortlessly. You build habit through repeated effort. And the moment that effort drops, you fall back. Your routine breaks. Bad habits like eating junk or skipping workouts, these require less structure. They are easier to fall into because they align with lower resistance states. A clean room doesn't stay clean. An organized desk doesn't stay organized. Even emotionally, you face entropy. You fall into overthinking, anxiety, and these emotional turbulences that you face. Overthinking happens automatically. You don't need to put effort, even though that's very much energy consuming. But clarity is difficult. So much of what we call struggle is basically resisting disorder. You're continuously pushing against a default direction of reality. That doesn't mean you're not responsible, it simply means that you need to invest effort. And the moment that effort drops, things don't stay the same. They drift. Because we don't just observe reality, we interpret it. Human mind is wired for stability and meaning. They aren't just a blob of flesh. They have emotions, memories, meanings, interpretations, beliefs, and biases. And reality is filtered through this lens. And we don't just want things to exist, we want them to last, to make sense, to, you know, have meaning. We are living in a collision between the human mind, which searches for meaning, permanence, and order, and the universe, which is indifferent, chaotic, and moving towards disorder. The universe is neutral. It doesn't think. It doesn't have biases, beliefs, or emotions. So when reality doesn't match our expectation of stability, we resist it because there's a natural expectation that things should stay the same. Relationships should never change. Routines should stay consistent. I should achieve this thing in X months or years. But entropy violates this expectation. So the result is anxiety about the future, discomfort with change or discomfort with present, and fear of loss. We are built to search for meaning inside a universe that doesn't care about it. So where does meaning even come from? Meaning is something that the mind constructs. Like when we were born, we didn't know the word mom, but we still felt that connection with our mother. We still recognized that safety and attachment. That label of mom came later. So meaning exists, but it's not something that the universe understands. It's what we understand. Shankaracharya was once asked, if world is an illusion, then what is the point of anything? To which he replied, illusion is not non existence, it is temporary existence. And if something is temporary, that doesn't mean it's unreal. Meaning is not denied, permanence is. So if everything is temporary, nothing lasts, and the mind resists it, Then what do you do with that? If everything is temporary, then what actually matters? Things matter because they don't last. A moment matters because it cannot be relived again. A goal matters because you have limited time. Your life matters because it is limited. If everything were permanent, nothing would feel urgent, meaningful, or special. A limited edition car definitely feels more special than the regular ones. So does the life. We are all living a limited edition life, we can say. And if everything is moving towards disorder, then if we flip it, the story changes. Everything that holds structure is an act of creating order. Maintaining a relationship is an act of order. Building something is an act of order. Focusing your attention is an act of order. Being consistent is an act of order. These are not random actions, they require effort. You need effort to focus, you need effort to sustain relationships, you need effort to build habits or break habits because at the end you can't stop entropy, but you can choose where to invest your energy. Layer 1 is reality, where everything is temporary. Layer 2 is choice, what you choose to maintain. Reality doesn't assign meaning. Meaning is personally constructed, and it doesn't need universal validation to be real. So instead of asking what is the meaning of existence, ask what's worth maintaining while it lasts. Disorder is the default, and humans have been building systems to resist disorder for thousands of years. Humans didn't just create personal meaning, they built collective systems to preserve order at scale. Because without a shared structure, order can exist at the level of individual. But we don't live as isolated individuals, we live in societies. Cultures are defensive constructions against chaos, designed to reduce the impact of randomness on experience. And religions are one of the most effective systems to do this. Religions are essentially massive, highly sophisticated pockets of order, designed specifically to resist entropy collectively. Religions provide narratives to organize reality, rules to regulate behavior, rituals to reinforce patterns, and beliefs to stabilize meaning. If individuals stay completely individual, societies cannot function because religions aren't just belief systems that has been randomly constructed. They are defensive constructions. They are social scale entropy fighting systems. This is the structural lens. They create, first of all, social cohesion, that's bringing people together to act as one organized unit, and secondly, they bring social control, enforcing rules that keep community from descending into chaos. Another perspective is spiritual. This lens says that religions are not human inventions, but a human discovery of pre-existing order of the universe. But our argument isn't about whether God exists or are religions real, because despite different viewpoints, its effect on society remains the same. It imposes structure to unstructured reality. So whether it's discovered or created, it helps society maintain order. Religion as structure applied to chaos at a collective scale. Society needs structure because individual pockets of order cannot lead to collective order. Entropy cannot be stopped no matter how much energy we put. So the only thing we can do is to resist entropy with a counterforce. That counterforce is order. That counterforce is to give structure. The ultimate pursuit is to create islands of order. Okay, so what is an island of order? An island of order is something you structure intentionally. It is effort dependent and personally meaningful. A relationship is an island of order maintained between two individuals. Discipline is repeated investment of energy to resist drift. A clear mind is maintaining order within your own mind. Even a skill you develop is an act of order. For example, you want to learn guitar. First off, you begin with the basic chords and strings. That is, you're giving order to the randomness. Because without that structure at the beginning, you are just floating at the middle of the Pacific. So you learn chords and strings, which are structured systems. And then you create a series of chord progressions that make up a rhythm. Music is structured sound, an island of order. Like if I pick up my guitar and play something like That's a structured sound. So, as humans, we are drawn to as humans, we are drawn to order. That's why music feels good. That's why an articulate explanation feels good. But across everything, from routines to skills to relationships to clarity to focus, nothing holds itself by default. Nothing is structured by itself. Effort is not something extra. It is the condition required for order to exist. What you care about is what you sustain. What you don't care about disappears. So, entropy is the default, and across cultures, different philosophies have observed something similar, that reality is not stable and suffering begins when you expect it to be. Buddhism says all things are impermanent. Vedanta says change is the nature of the world. Stoicism says do not seek for things to happen as you wish, but wish for things to happen as they do. Taoism goes even simpler. It says reality is a flow. Your life is temporary. Your work is temporary. Your role is temporary. And that's exactly why it matters. Because ultimately, the universe's indifference doesn't mean that we should stop caring or we should become nihilistic. It means that the only things that matter are the things we choose to care about. Meaning is something we create within entropy. Build a meaningful relationship, a body of work, a way of thinking, a skill, a routine you don't want to retire from. Build what matters. Fulfillment is not an indulgent pleasure, but in meaningful participation in what matters. Everything is temporary. Meaning is constructed. Order requires effort. When you truly accept that a meticulously crafted iron vehicle, a beautifully built house, or a human body is temporary, you reduce suffering. You appreciate the iron vehicle while it runs, and your life while you are alive. Everything is falling apart, and your life is what you choose to hold together.